here's what I say to people. There's one constant in real estate, right? It's going to constantly change. The media's screaming now that it's bad. That's great for us, by the way, but who knows what's going to happen next quarter. Once you know creative real estate, your belief goes up, your confidence goes up, and you know it doesn't matter what happens to the market.
Chris, thank you for joining me on our Thought Leader Spotlight series. I'm your host over here, Matt Camp, head of partnerships at DealMachine. And on these, we really like to try to shine an industry spotlight on experts like yourself and, hear your inspiring stories and how you see the real estate world evolving. So today, excited to welcome on Chris Fontaine. I know you are the founder of the Smart Real Estate Coach and Wicked Smart Real Estate Community, four-time best-selling author. You've got a top real estate podcast out there. 3 times have led a fast-growing company onto the Inc. 500 list. And you're constantly showing resilience and innovation in your personal, professional, and family life. So, Chris, excited to welcome you on. Thanks for taking the time out.
Appreciate you. I got a hard thing to follow now, so I'll do my best here. Let's dive in.
Well, I mentioned a little bit about your background, but can you tell us more about your story, how you got into this? I'd love to hear that journey.
Sure. So this is I'm hitting 34 years this month in the biz, Matt. So I won't.
Congrats.
I'll put it. Yeah, thanks. I won't put everybody to sleep though. I'll give you my New England style couple minutes. So I went from everywhere from building homes in the 90s on what we called spot lots, like onesie, twosies, and subdivisions. And I didn't know it then. I was in my 20s, and we actually were doing things creatively then on terms without knowing it. I was naive enough to go to the landowner and say, can you wait till the house is built to get paid? And I was naive enough to go to all the subcontractors and say, can you wait to get paid till the end of the house? They all said yes. Maybe it was the market, right? I don't know if I get away with that now. I then bought a Realty Execs franchise, executives, sold that to Coldwell Banker in 2000. Everybody said, you can't sell a brokerage. So we sold it in 2000. That was a good experience. Then, though, running up to the crash of 08 was not so great an experience coming out of that. I got my head kicked in financially, mentally, and every other way. And that was the impetus, though, to do what I'm doing today, meaning I came out of that after my head in the sand for 4 years, February of 8 to February of 12. I remember like it was yesterday. Just a light switch was off and we were in trouble. And I said, all right, great. I'm going to get back in the trenches, but I had no money. I moved into a one-bedroom apartment. That was humbling. And I had no credit. So to buy, I had to buy owner financing, lease purchase, sub-2, anything that didn't include banks or my money. I didn't have anything. I wasn't bankable. So that started out with us buying properties, myself and my son, and then myself and partner and son-in-law, Zach, who you know. And then we started getting demand organically to teach people. And then that started with I think our first year in the business, we might have done 10 grand, 12 grand in business. And then fast forward, to your point, we made the Inc. 5000 fastest growing, and we're in 80 markets now doing deals. So the difference with us is, to put a kind of a icing on the cake here, is I just see a bunch of stuff being sold in our industry, as you know, and it's great, but that's all they care about is let's go sell a course, right? And then people get left aside. We get in the trenches and do deals with people in these 80 markets, and we rev share with them. So we're in the deal. So when they hit problems and headaches and speed bumps, we're in there to deal with them. So that's what we do today in all those markets.
Yeah, I love the model. I mean, one thing that was fascinating too. I mean, you mentioned, was it 34 years? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you said, you've been through ups and downs, seeing all kinds of different markets. Do you have any advice there because we have a lot of people on here who are maybe newer to this, or certainly not not as experienced as yourself.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice, especially when it comes to mindset, on how to make it through tough times like that, or how you've been so resilient? Like that's inspiring to hear.
Yeah, thank you. I would tell you that, to your point, mindset is, whether you want to believe it or not, it's like the whole game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll give you a few examples and I'll answer your question too. Because look, if everybody believed, I have these small private boot camps I was talking to you about off air, and I say to them, if you guys all believe that tomorrow you could do what we're doing, there's be nothing to stop you. So what's the problem? It's belief. It's all mindset, 100%. So as far as getting through the challenges, yes, I'll tell you a biggie. Twice in my career, that was one of them, the crash, I got banged up, right? And now I look back in hindsight, a few years ago, I realized this, and I went, whoa, those are 2 times I did not have anyone to go to, a mentor or an advisor. And that's pretty scary. So I'm like, well, so for those 4 years, I was in my own head going, oh, it must have been me. I must not do this well. Until I get back on the horse, someone had to shake me and go, hey, Chris, you didn't take down the national market. Get your head out of your butt and let's get in the trenches again. And what I did is I started reaching out to people for help again. Because if I had done that right after the crash happened or during it, I could have said, "Hey, tap tap on the shoulder. What should I do here?" And that keeps you mentally strong too. Like I told a guy this about 2012ish. I joined a mastermind, and I told him what I went through, and he chuckled. You might know the name too. I won't say it publicly, but he chuckled. He's like, "Chris, here's what happened to me. Boom, boom, boom." And I went, "Oh, I guess my stuff's not so bad." So what did you do? And you learn, to your point, to get through that mentally by just talking to other people. With the internet now, it's not hard to do. You can find people that have been through it. So long answer. I hope that helped.
No, I mean, I love that, and I know you've got like the smart real estate stuff you're doing. You've got the Wicked Smart community. We have a lot of people who are trying to figure out the market right now, and obviously there's no crystal ball or anything. But do you have any advice on how to be approaching that currently?
Yeah, most definitely. So here's what I say to people. There's one constant in real estate, right? It's going to constantly change. I don't care what you do. It's going to constantly change. The media's screaming now that it's bad. That's great for us, by the way, but they're screaming that it's bad. Who knows what's going to happen next quarter? What I do know is this. Once you know creative real estate, your belief goes up, your confidence goes up, and you know that when you put your head on the pillow at night, it doesn't matter what happens to the market. My wife, I've been married 39 years, Matt. My wife will say to me still,
Congrats.
Thanks. How's that going to affect you? She'll hear something on the news, right? The interest rates. How's that to this day? And I go, it's great. Any change, anything that's going on for change in the market that's causing people to go, is great for us because we know how to pivot. So learn creative. I'm biased, but learn creative real estate. You'll have the skill set for life, and then you don't care what the market does because, to your point, nobody knows, right? But I'm super confident now in two things. One, I know how to pivot with it, and the community does. And two, I know when I put my head on the pillow, unlike the crash, I'm not signing on any personal loans ever. And that's a comfortable feeling compared to going into the crash with, I don't know, I think I had 23 properties, all on personally, all a complete headache.
Yep, yep. Well, I love you touch on talking about creative from a high level. That's definitely an area that I think we hear questions often about, and we're in the deal finding space, but then we try to hook our community up with resources on how to think about deal structure and everything like that. So, can you give us a little bit of just a crash course? Obviously, we could spend hours and hours on that,
Yeah.
but can you give us a little bit of a crash course for people who are maybe less familiar with how creative can work and when to use it, and should newbies be thinking about it too?
Yeah, so let me give you a high point so you can peel back any you want. So when I said I came out of the crash and I had to buy the way I did, let's just touch on real briefly. We do owner financing, but we also niche that down. We look for properties that are free and clear because they're not on market. You're not dealing with the market's doing this or that. All our stuff's off market. So if I talk to an out-of-state owner that has no mortgage, are they stressed out? Nope. They want the best price, and usually because of that, I can get my term, 10 years or whatever it's going to be. And here's the punchline. We do principal-only payments, Matt, on these free and clear homes. Principal-only monthly payments, no interest. That's a good rate, 0. So, and you get such a recession hedge, I'll call it. I'll never say proof, but a nice recession hedge by saying every month I'm getting paid down principal. Second is subject to the existing debt staying in place. So I don't sign ever. I just make payments on their behalf, but I own the property. Now I don't have the stats in front of me, but there are still gobs of mortgages below 6 and below 4%. So if we teach our community how to find those, and they only buy their own house that way, let alone for investments, right? I don't know when those rates are coming back, but there's a ton of them out that you can buy right now with little to no money down and not sign personally on them. So those two things work really, really well right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that's something on the deal machine front as well. Like, can look at the map and say, hey, show me all the free and clear properties, show me properties with a certain interest rate. So definitely aligned there. Um, do you see in terms of newbies, where do you see that learning curve? Like, are there any pitfalls to look out for? I know it can be a little intimidating for people who maybe aren't as familiar with these different creative financing terms. So I'd love your advice there on how to approach that if you're newer to it.
Yeah, the pitfalls would be twofold. Now I'll tell you how to like sync up with someone. The pitfalls would be because of what I said earlier. Everybody wants to sell a course, right? We've bombarded all of us in social. So
For sure.
because of that, we have one of the biggest mistakes I see is mismanaged expectations. Like, well, I see all this get rich quick stuff, and then they don't do a deal in 30 days, and they unfortunately blame themselves. Like they must not be good enough. No, it's just that you've been pounded that this is a quick fix. It's not a quick fix. But once you learn this stuff, you learn it for life, right? Nobody can take it away from you. So I would say this. I said earlier, I'm biased for creative, but let me just be more broad for your community. This would work if you and I were going to open a restaurant, but let me just talk about real estate. 3 things. 1, get it, like find a niche that you can get behind. Ours is super win-win-win. It's like not trying to lowball houses. We can pay market price and the buyers, sellers win. Like it's so healthy in my opinion, energy-wise. So find a niche you can get behind. 2, find someone in a community or a group or a meetup, I don't care where, that has done what you want to do, right? And has been through, in my opinion, at least 2 economic cycles, in my opinion. And if they had some personal challenges like I've had in my life, even better, because you're going to run into this stuff. It's called normal. And then 3rd, here's the toughie. Because of the mismanaged expectations, put the blinders on for 3 to 7 years. 3 to 7 years with one niche. And then you can open it up later. But if you start to run around and chase all these niches to exit deals, it's like drilling for wells. You never hit water. You just don't give it enough time. That's all. So that'd be my simple advice.
Yeah, focus is key. Yeah, because you are right where, hey, you can, it's easy to go on YouTube or anywhere, right? And
Yep.
check down. I mean, we've hosted a ton of people who are great at different niches and things, and it's easy to go down those rabbit holes and see a lot of shiny objects. So having that focus on that goes such a long way.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, one thing I did want to ask about, I've heard you talk before a little bit about kind of the 3 paydays system. Can you maybe talk through that with our community? What that is, how that works. I think that would be a cool concept to introduce as well.
Yeah, sure. And we trademarked this, and here's what spawned it. Coming out of the crash, I told you I made a list of things I could do, right? One of them was, or I wanted to do, one of them was don't get paid once anymore on a deal. Because that felt like a job. Like I built a lot of houses, did a lot of flips. Okay, it paid me well. I'm not complaining. But when I got back on the horse, I'm like, okay, let's not have a job, a transactional thing. Let's get paid 3 different ways. And what it is we exit our properties mostly rent to own with buyers that need time. That's a huge niche right now. So where do the 3 paydays come in? Payday 1 is there's a buyer that thought they could buy a house that they can't qualify today. They either just got a new job, they started a new business, or they have tough credit. All 3 of those are great buyers if you give them time. So they come in with a down payment. That's payday 1. That averages for us, our family company anyway, around 26, 28 grand. So that's yours, day 1. So now you get that payday 1 that you always got in the deals. Payday 2 is kind of cool because now that you have a what we call a tenant buyer in a home, that launches a monthly cash flow stream. So now you get this delta of what you're paying for that house and what they're paying you. You don't take the house on until you get that. And that delta runs anywhere between 300 to 1,000 per month per property. That builds up fast. Payday 3 is really cool because payday 3 is now you get this deal that's going to go 2, 3, 4, sometimes 10 or 15 years. All of that principal pay down that accrues during that time, that accrues to you. And you're not paying it down because your tenant buyer is. That's pretty cool. So now you get payday 1 now, payday 2 over time, payday 3 long term. Well, that's kind of a good business model if you and I were going to open any business tomorrow, right? Cash now, cash over time, and cash long term. So that's how it works. So you're not getting on this treadmill every time to do a deal and get paid.
Yeah, again, like, love how you're thinking they're finding the properties. Deal Machine. We that's our focus on being that tool. I'd love to hear, when you're thinking about like a 3 payday system or really just creative in general, how to have that conversation with the seller in a way that really educates them and it explains the terms and makes it very approachable,
Yeah.
especially if they're not as familiar with creative as a model. Do you have advice there for people on how to have that conversation with the seller and really educate them in that process?
Yeah, they can use this. I'll give you some scripts. They can literally use it after they hear the show. So a couple things. One is when I call, we have VAs call, but let's just say I'm making the first call. The call is simple. It's where you want to find out, like you would check with your neighbor. You see a sign go up, you go, hey, Matt, well, I see a sign. Where are you going? Great. How soon do you need to be there? Normal conversation, right? Third
Hmm.
question is very key because it tells motivation. What if that doesn't happen? Like, what's your plan B? That's key because then now the motivation comes out. And then the question would be, if I can get you to your price, Matt, are you open to doing that on a lease purchase or on a financing, or did you need all your equity to go buy another house? Some people do. They're like, nah, I got to move with the kids. I got to go buy another house. I need a down payment. Others go, no, I don't need the money. I just can't sell it right now, or I just want the best price. Or so that's who we buy from. And that's the script. Where are you going? By when? And what if that doesn't happen? We hammer that into the community members as we critique calls. Just find those out, and you'll have your path. Because we're not convincing people to sell on a financing or sell on terms. Never. It's like you're solving problems. It's like if you and I go to a dentist, attorney, auto body, name it. Keep going, right? What are they doing? Do they ever convince you to come in? No, you're going to them going, help, help. I got this. Like, same with us. We are trying to solve, and if we can't solve a problem or help them accomplish a goal that the market's not helping them, we don't have no reason to be in the deal, right? Quick example, we bought our commercial building. I just recently sold it, but we bought a commercial building this way. It's not asset class specific. And the gentleman said to me, he was a very savvy investor in the area. He had a 4x8 sign on a busy road that said owner financing. He said, Chris, the realtors don't get it. They're bringing me cash offers. I don't want cash. For estate planning and tax reasons, he said, I do not want cash. I sell everything owner financing. I didn't have to convince him. He's like, thanks for coming in. They don't get it, right? This is what happens if you have the conversations with people.
Love it. Do you have any advice there on, because when you go through that process, it does take building trust and credibility, right? With that seller to really trust you with that kind of a different approach, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any advice there, especially for newer investors as well, on how to build that trust and credibility with sellers?
Yep. Well, again, I'm going to be biased, but it's a fact, right? So we certify people now, and if they come into a different level in our program, they get accredited with the Creative Financing Real Estate Association. Our course does that. So I'm telling you, call after call, Matt. Our students will go, yeah, they'll go. The seller will go, hey, yeah, I got a lot of calls. Well, okay, let's make sure whoever you're talking to that they're certified or accredited by the Creative Financing Real Estate Association. And right away, the seller goes, oh, well, I don't know. Okay, well, you better ask them. So it's such a game changer for credibility. And they go through our course. They take a quiz at the end of each one to make sure that they get the basics. And they get 70% or more, and they get certified. They put that on their website, on their emails. That alone is a nugget and a game changer for anyone.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about your community? Like, I'd love to hear what makes it unique and what made you inspired to start it as well.
Yeah. So what started it was I was doing the deals, as I said to you, during the crash, and we have a
Hmm.
war college here. It's like right not far from my office, the Navy. So I got a call from a guy who said, Chris, I've been to Afghanistan 3 times. This kid was in his late 20s. He said, I heard about you doing deals locally. I forget, somebody told him I had called on a house. And he said, I'm going back to Cleveland. I'm going back to civilian life. Can you teach me? Now, I had not coached yet. I mean, I coached in the past, but I had not coached creatively yet. This was in 2013 or 14. I said, sure. So he came in my office. I didn't have a program. He gave me a few $1,000, which is nothing in hindsight now, but I just did calls with him and showed him how to do it, right? Then I got a call from someone who runs a VA company and said, hey, can you write like a little ebook on sandwich leases? And I'll send it to my database. And we did that. We got like 300 people that said, hey, good stuff. And they opted in. And that started the company. As far as what happens in the community now, very family oriented, Matt, because I started it with me, then my son Nick, and then my daughter Kayla. So it's just grown like that
Hmm.
organically. So we tend to attract that, and they tend to like hanging out in Slack in the community because it's a place that they can 24/7 get support.
Hmm.
Then we have different levels for different people, because if you're like you want to run fast, you can run fast. We have group coaching, we have one-on-one coaching where we rev share, as I said earlier. So that's how they interact. Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yeah, yeah. It's it's cool to see how approachable you make it, and being able to come in and break down what can be, more complicated concepts, and you guys do a great job of making it much more cut and dry of, hey, here's how to approach this, rather than, like you said, chasing shiny objects. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. Well, Chris, this has been phenomenal, man. Like, I really appreciate you kind of opening up your personal story a little bit here. Again, it's awesome to hear you've been through a couple cycles, you've been through, highs and lows, and you being really open to sharing that. And I know you've got the podcast you talk about that on, and you've got the coaching community. What are the best ways for people to connect with you? And I know you mentioned a few things that were coming up here, it sounded like, as well, ways people get involved with you guys.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it, Matt. So I'm big on free because of all the junk people throw at you online. Go to wickedsmartbooks.com/Matt Camp. Just wickedsmartbooks.com/Matt Camp. You won't be asked to put a credit card in for shipping like the other free book offers. Oh, free book, and then you got to put shipping in. We will ship it for free, our expense. I don't care how many ask for it. You'll get actually 2 books. And that way you can dive into all the stuff Matt and I just touched upon. And then we did a class, and it's on a replay. You don't have to be like in front of anyone. You do it at your own time, 25, 28 minutes. Just go to smartrealestatecoach.com/masters class. And that'll, again, those are both free. And if from that you say, I want to talk more, great. You'll find ways to get us through that. And then Matt, the event that I mentioned to you offline, we do what's called In the Trenches Boot Camp, by far the most effective thing we've done. And we started about 18 months ago, where we bring 10 or 15, not many, into our office. It's free at every experience level in our company. We bring them in the conference room here outside my window. We have myself, my son Nick, my son-in-law Zach, and one of our coaches, to only 10 or 15 of them. They bring in leads. We actually call the leads with them, make appointments, and structure deals on the spot. It's super effective. It's 2.25 days. They want more information on that, they can just email support@smartrealestatecoach.com.
Phenomenal. Well, Chris, we'll include links to all of that in the description here. We've got a few more free resources on our side for DealMachine as well that we'll include. But Chris, really appreciate you coming out here and again, know you're a busy guy, so thanks for taking time and really enjoyed this conversation.
You bet. Right. Same here, Matt. Appreciate you.
Yeah. And to everyone watching, Matt Camp over here with DealMachine, and happy deal finding.